Okay, so the first thing for today is I'm going to show you how to add graph paper, all right, which I think is kind of nice. I did not know this was on here. And some of you are already doing that, so it kind of got me messing around with it. So it's called, if you add stickies, then you want to add a grid. Now, the grid isn't as effective because the boxes are too big. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So then what you can do is you can just tap on it, and it'll go to paper, and then you can change the grid size. All right? So that's really nice. All right? I think it's really helpful. All right? So
different way if you want to make, well, this is for the whole screen, but you just actually click paper, and then you can do it.
yeah, but it doesn't. But the other thing though is when you print something out, it sometimes doesn't print out the gridded lines also. All right.
Never mind, that method doesn't work.
Yeah, because it's on the empty page. All right. What? So what I need you to do is you hit the plus, which is add. Then you go to stickies. You with me at the bottom. All right. Now again, to me, it doesn't matter really how big it is, but all right, you just move it down out of the way a little bit. All right. So then once it's there, you ready? Here you go. Once it's there, you click on paper. And then it gives you a whole different type. You with me? It's like a sticky note. It's very helpful. You with me on this? All right. Now, what I want everybody to do is, once you put that there, all right, then somebody showed me that you can copy, and then if you want, you can just you can paste, and then you can do that, and it's very easy. All right, is everybody with me on this? All right. So now the next thing though is once you've done that, I want to go to the end of the page, and then what I want you to do is I want you to just listen to me for a second. So I want everybody to stop doing what they're doing. All right, because I'm going to show you something that's kind of important. All right. Today we're going to learn how to graph a quadratic. All right, we're going to learn how to graph a quadratic. Now, the only thing we know how to graph so far are lines. All right. So I will sometimes say parabola by accident, and a parabola is just a different name for a quadratic. So when you get to Algebra 2, they'll talk about conic sections, and this is a particular conic section, which you'll learn more about in detail. But sometimes I'll say parabola, and sometimes I'll say quadratic. All right, so the words are interchangeable. Now, again, we started with the basic line. For example, y equals x. All right, and then we just plotted a point, and then we outlined the graph. Well, it's the same thing. In this particular case, what I want to do is I want to show you y equals x squared. All right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to graph that. So in order to graph that, though, I've got to plot some points. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to plot x, y. And then what I want you to do is we're going to go -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to plot lots of points so we can see the outline of the graph. So what is 0 squared?
0.
What's 1 squared? 2 squared? 3 squared? Very good, guys. All right. -1 squared is 1. -2 squared is 4. -3 squared is 9. There you have it. So those are the points we're going to plot. All right. Now, I'm going to make an x and y axis. So you can kind of watch here. Now, my x-axis is going to come down closer to the bottom. Why do you think it's going to come closer to the bottom? Because all the numbers are positive. I've got to go all the way up to 9. All right? So now what we're going to do is I am going to plot those points. All right? When I plot those points, I plot 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, and 3, 9. Now you should kind of be able to see the shape of the graph. So the shape of the graph looks like this. So this is what a parabola or a quadratic looks like.
Oh, yeah. Next to that.
All right? Yes, and now you'll understand what they were talking about for the SAT. All right, so that is your parabola. Now I want to introduce a few things. All right, this point at the very lowest or the very highest point is going to be referred to as the vertex. So this point down here is going to be called the vertex. Everybody needs to make sure you write that. Okay, after the vertex, all right, after the vertex, what I have is this line right here. Somebody actually knew this in my last class. Somebody know what that line is called?
Well,
Yes, very nice. It's called the Axis of Symmetry. All right, the reason why it's called the Axis of Symmetry is because you should notice that the quadratic on the right side is the exact same thing as the quadratic on the what? The left side. So what does that mean exactly? I'm going to show you right now. Look up. This distance from here to here was 3 units. So the distance from here to here to the other point directly over the axis of symmetry is also what? 3 units. And from here to here is what? 2 units. And from here to here was 2 units. And 1 unit and 1 unit. So basically what that means is if you know one point on the graph, you know a what? You know a second point on the graph. All right? And then the next important thing is the Y-intercept is very, very important. And in this case, the Y-intercept would be what? 0, 0. Because that's where the graph crosses the x-axis. Now, in this case, some of you are saying, well, it's also the x-intercept, and that is exactly true. It is the x-intercept as well. All right? Anybody have any questions or concerns with that? That is how simple it is. That is how simple it is. All right? Now, this right here is a very, very basic way to graph a quadratic. And because we are not basic, we are not going to do it that way.
okay.
All right?
Let's do the column.
Now, the reason why that's the easiest way to do it is because it's in its most simple form. All right, y equals x squared. But you have to keep in mind, here's the notes for today now that are important. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That is referred to as the general form for a quadratic. All right, a is the number in front of the x squared term, b is the number in front of the x, and c is considered the constant. Is everybody happy with that? Now, in the previous problem, b was 0 and c was 0. Is everybody okay with that? All right, in other words, we graphed y equals x squared. What's the number in front of the square? A 1. So a in this case is what? 1. B is what? C is what? 0. All right? Now, the rules. All right? The axis of symmetry. Step number 1. Axis of symmetry. Your axis of symmetry is always going to be x equals negative b over 2a. You cannot play the game if you don't know that. All right? So that's something you have to know. So when I ask you about the axis of symmetry, you're just going to say x equals negative b over 2a. Any questions? All right? Now, step 2, we're going to find the vertex. All right? So here's how you find the vertex. Because the vertex is always on the axis of symmetry, the vertex is defined as negative b over 2a, comma, f of negative b over 2a. That sounds complicated, but guess what? It's very simple. Very, very simple. So again, the vertex is defined as negative b over 2a, comma, f of negative b over 2a. That's considered the vertex. And the last major point here is the Y-intercept. The Y-intercept is always 0, comma, c. All right. So again, that's the important information that you have to know in order to be successful at graphing. All right. Again, if I say what's the axis symmetry, from now I'm going to say x equals negative b over 2a. If I say what's the vertex, you're going to say it's negative b over 2a, comma, f of negative b over 2a. Now, the f of negative b over 2a just means you plug negative b over 2a into the original equation. Because instead of this being y, I could also write, if you recall, functional notation. All right. But again, very, very simple. Very simple. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back now to question number 1, and we're going to try to graph y equals x squared minus 5. And it'd be nice if you asked me a question immediately now rather than wait until I get to question 7. All right. So in this case, right now, I want someone to tell me that a is equal to what number? 1. B is equal to what? 0. And C is equal to? Good job. Negative 5. All right, do we have any questions with that? Now, if you're not sure about that for some strange reason, I don't know where you've been, but we could say f of x is equal to y, which is the same as ax squared plus bx plus c. There's nothing to know. A is the number in front of the square term. B is the number in front of the x term, and C is the constant. Anybody have any questions with that now, Walker? All right, thank you. So now that you've established that, we now can figure out what the axis of symmetry is. So I want you to write down AOS colon x equals negative b over 2a equals negative 0 over 2 times 1 equals 0. Anybody have any questions with how I got 0? Any questions on how I got 0? Nobody? What? What is b? So you're having trouble with negative 0.
Yes. I thought b was either positive or negative.
You're plugging in 0 for b is all you're doing into the formula. All right, 0 divided by anything is what? 0. Not sure what you're having trouble with now. All right, so we say that x equals 0 is the axis of symmetry. All right, step 2, I'm now going to find the vertex. So vertex y equals 0 squared minus 5 equals, what's 0 squared minus 5? Negative 5. Thank you very much. So the vertex is what? Good. 0, negative 5. Because the vertex is a point. The vertex is a point. Do we have any issues with that? What? Because what we're doing is, all right, we're taking this value here and we're plugging it into this equation here. Yes. Well, because it's not always 0, comma negative 5. It's just a coincidence in this case. Trust me. Do you hear me? So I'm going to show you number 3. And number 3, you see what I'm saying? It's not always the vertex. Do you hear me? All right, that's a good question. All right, here we go. Back on track. So now, step number 3. So he's asking me that the y-intercept, I already told you, was 0, comma c. So in this case, it's 0, comma. Now, we have a little problem here, guys. And the reason why we have a little problem is because he observed that the y-intercept is the same as the what? As the vertex. All right? But because of that, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're just going to graph this. So what I want everybody to do is we're going to make an x and y axis. All right? And then we're going to graph. All right? So I want you to put down or highlight the what? Axis of symmetry is x equals 0. So everybody with me on that? All right, that is called, again, the axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry. That means it's going to be reflected over that axis. What is the vertex? 0, comma, negative 5. So we're going to plot 0, negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we are, 0, negative 5. You may have any issues with that. Now our next step was to plot the what? Was to plot the y-intercept, but it happens to be the same. So we're in a little bit of trouble. All right? So all I have to do is find another number. All right? All I have to do is find another number. So to find another number, I'm just going to randomly pick a number. What's the easiest number to plug in?
2. 1.
1. All right, you can plug in 2. It's not going to be a big deal. But 1 is just easier. So what I'm saying now is f of 1. Listen to me now. I'm kind of describing functional notation. F of 1 just means to plug 1 into the function. Does everybody agree with that? So when I do that, that's going to be 1 squared minus 5. What's 1 squared minus 5?
Negative 4.
Negative 4. So what point is also on the graph?
Negative 4.
No. What point is on the graph? No.
Negative 4.
Stop. What other point is on the graph? Say it.
1.
1 what? Say it.
1 negative 5.
Say it.
1 negative 4.
1 negative 4. 1 negative 4 is on the graph. Now really you got to concentrate now. Let me help you. What number did I plug into the equation?
1.
That is the x coordinate. The answer is the what?
The Y.
The y coordinate. Is everybody with me on that? So this point, 1 negative 4 is on the graph. So I come over here and I plot 1 negative 4. And if 1 negative 4 is on the graph, what else is on the graph? Very smart. Negative 1, negative 4 is on the graph. Now how did he know that? Because he understands the axis of symmetry. What's on the right is also on the left. All right? Now, let's just say we want to be a little bit more accurate. Instead of doing f of 1, we can now do f of what? 2. So if I do f of 2, that would just be 2 squared minus 5. What's 2 squared minus 5? What's 2 squared minus 5? Negative 1, which means what point's on the graph? 2, comma, negative 1. So now I plot the point 2, comma, negative 1. So what else is on the graph? Negative 2, negative 1. And so now I have my parabola. And now I have my parabola. All right, do we have any issues with that? All right, I'm agreeing. Not difficult. All right, not difficult at all.
It's a lot of work.
All right, not exactly. It's maybe a 2-minute process for each problem. Go. What's the matter?
Oh, wait, sorry.
Don't be sorry. I'm glad you're thinking. All right, so here we go. For question number 2, let's see how good you are. Number 1, all right, I need my axis of symmetry. So x equals, what's b? 0. So again, negative b over 2a is the same as negative 0 over 2 times negative 2, which is still what?
0.
Very good. 0 over anything is always 0. So my axis symmetry is 0. So now I have my vertex. Somebody who's brilliant, tell me what the vertex is. Don't all say something at once. What is the vertex? 0, 0. What? We have 2 points and we're plotting a line. 0 what? 0. Why negative 8? Why plus 8?
No. 30.
Because when you plug in 0, come on guys, this is embarrassing now. Y equals negative 2 times 0 squared plus 8. Are you having trouble with 0 squared? Oh, 0 squared, I don't know. Brilliant. 0 squared is 0 for the uninformed. Now, 0 times negative 2.
0.
Now the tough one. 0 plus 8.
Oh, that was 8.
Yeah, I know. Shame, shame. All right. So my vertex now, of course, is what?
0, 8.
0, 8. Beautiful. For those of you guys who are catching on. Uh-oh. We have some trouble here.
True. It appeared out of thin air.
All right, here we go. Let me go in slow motion for you. All right, here we go. Y equals negative 2x squared plus 8. I plug 0 into the equation. There is an 8.
In the equation.
No, seriously. I have too much work to do. Too much work. Eight is in the equation.
I get it now.
Stop. All right, now that I've got my vertex, step 3, we would say, is the Y-intercept. But in this particular case, again, we have some problems. The Y-intercept is, again, the vertex.
Yeah.
All right? So now, what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and plot this or graph. All right, let's make our graph. Now, listen, what I want you to do is I'm going up 8, correct? So if I'm going up 8, I need you to practice saying probably then my x-axis is going to be a little bit lower. Everybody see that? All right, you need to get in the habit of doing that. All right? So now I want everybody to graph 0, or let's graph the axis of symmetry still here. And now I'm going up to 0, 8. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now I'm plotting a point. All right. All right, there's my point, 0, 8. Now I have an issue because I need to find another point.
1.
All right, so we're going to plug in 1. Now, I really kind of want you to get in the habit of doing this, even though it's partly my fault. I don't do functional notation enough with you. I'm plugging in 1 into the function. Everybody hear me? All right, f of 1 just means plug 1 in for x. All right, now don't embarrass yourself again. All right, so negative 2 times 1 squared plus 8. That would be what? What is the answer to negative 2 times 1 squared plus 8? 6. Brilliant. So my so another point that's on the graph is 1, 6. So now I want to go over to 1, 6, plot the point, and it would be here. So if 1, 6 is on the graph, then negative 1, 6 is on the graph right here. And now you can see the parabola, what it looks like. Now, this opens what? This opens down. The one up here opens what? Up. Now, why do you suppose this one opens down?
Because it's the vertex, like so.
Because A is what?
Negative.
Good. If A is less than 0, your quadratic or your parabola will open down. If A is greater than 0, or if A is positive, your parabola will open what? Your parabola will open up. All right. So now again, guys, that's two pretty good lessons there. And the reason why I kind of like them is because it's just the basics starting. We're just starting off with the basics. All right. Now again, personally, what makes it hard is the fact that you have to remember the x equals negative b over 2a. If you don't remember that, then it's really kind of not easy. But I will show you how we can use a calculator eventually, and your calculator will be able to do all the graphs. Your calculator can also find the vertex, the y-intercept, and the x-intercepts. But that is coming. All right, this is the most important part right now. Quickly, kind of what?
Do you have to find more than
No,
one?
no, you don't. Those 3 points are adequate. All right, sometimes if you want to be a little bit more accurate, you plot a couple more points. But in the future, I'll show you even how you can come up with those points relatively easy. Quick.
And on the test, would you?
I'm not worried about the test. What? Well, you need your calculator every single day. Obviously, some of you had trouble with 0 squared.
My sister.
What is that?
Okay, so why on number 1 did we go to F2? Why did we?
We just answered that question. Listen, that's okay. He asked me a very good question. On the first one, I plotted how many points? 5.
5.
Right? On the second one, I plotted just what? 3.
3.
So if I wanted to, I could find f of 2. But he just said, do I need to plot 5? And I said, no. Because we know what a parabola looks like now, 3 points is sufficient.
Sweet.
3 points is sufficient. If you want to do a better job sometimes, if you want to double check yourself, finding the 4th and 5th point, hey, girls, it's not a bad option. What? Come on.
Could you explain how to get the vertex? I'm confused.
I plug the x value into the equation.
Oh.
The axis of symmetry. Come on, Walker. This point right here was x equals 0. I plug that into this point right there. That gives me 8. That's the vertex.
Oh.
Simple as that. All right, now question number 3. Put on your thinking caps, please. All right, now again, the reason why we would say this one is a little bit different, right? The reason why we say this one is a little bit different is only because it is not, or there has a b value. All right, so the vertex this time is not going to be the y-intercept. All right, so again, please, I'm not kidding now. All right, I've given you the basics. Everything that I'm saying now, if you're going, wow, I wish you would slow down, you can kind of refer to your notes a little bit. All right, I promise you, it's very simple. We're on our 3rd try now. You should be a little better. All right, so step number 1 is x equals negative b over 2a equals negative 12 over 2 times negative 2 equals negative 12 over negative 4 equals 3. So your axis of symmetry is x equals 3. Hear me out now. Your axis of symmetry is x equals 3. Now, I want to find the vertex. So your vertex, I need f of 3. So f of 3 is negative 2 times 3 squared plus 12 times 3 plus 3 equals. Now, this is mental math. Not using a calculator on that. You have to square first. 9 times negative 2 is negative 18, plus 36 is 18, plus 3 is 21. So f of 3 equals 21. What does that mean? That means that the vertex is located at what? 3, 21. That is the vertex. 3, 21. What?
Why didn't you do f of 1?
I'm not doing f of 1. I'm finding the vertex. The vertex, the explanation for vertex isn't find f of 1. All right? That's not how you find the vertex. The vertex is take negative b over 2a, take that answer and plug it into the equation. That's what that means. Take the negative b over 2a, which in this case is 3, and you plug 3 into the original equation. Yes?
Could we make the vertex 1.7?
No. No. Again, your vertex is defined using negative b over 2a. That is always the x-coordinate of the vertex. I'm going to say it one more time. The x-coordinate of the vertex is always negative b over 2a. The y value is always what you get when you plug negative b over 2a into the equation. All right? Now, I chose 1 on the previous problems because I only had 1 point. So I couldn't define the graph unless I had more points. All right? So now, the vertex is 321. Now, somebody boldly tell me what the y-intercept is. I'm listening. 0, 3 for those of you guys who are with me. Because the y-intercept is 0, c. Everybody good? All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to draw your x and y axis. And on here, I need you to pay attention and listen to what I'm saying, because obviously I'm not going to count up to 21. That's a ridiculous waste of time. So I don't do that. So please listen to my explanation. I'm going up 21. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself room to go up to 21. I'm not asking you ever to count up. If it's beyond 9, just plot a point. And what does that mean? 3. 1, 2, 3, up 21. So I'm going to put a mark right here, and I'm going to call that what? 21. I'm not counting up to 21. Everybody understands that, right? I'm not even creating a scale. I'm not even counting by 3s. I don't even care about that. You guys are smart enough to do that. I just want you to understand that I just went to 3 and I went up what? 21. So this right here is the location of the what? The vertex. Anybody have an issue with that? Now, what's the y-intercept? Uh-oh, I almost forgot. I forgot to plug or to graph the what? Thank you. The axis of symmetry. I had to draw the axis of symmetry. Now, again, what's nice is the vertex is always on the axis of symmetry. Now we're going to graph 0, 3. Now, do I really care where you put 0, 3? No, because the scale is not right. All right, so basically, if I wanted to come right here, I could make that 3. Do you agree? And I would just have to mark that that's what? That point right there is 3. Is everybody understanding me? All right. Now, the other thing I want you to mark is I need you to know that that's 3. And of course, if that's 3, this would, of course, be 0. All right. That's what's important, is people can see what you're graphing. All right. Now, I'm plotting the point 0, 3. So if I plot the point 0, 3, I'm good right there, right? So where's the other point going to go? 3 over from the axis of symmetry. So again, you measure to the axis of symmetry. So I measured how far? 3. So now I have to go what? 3 over. Not 3 to the left, right? I'm counting 3 over. 1, 2, 3. Does everybody understand that's where the other point would go? Right? Some of the kids accidentally put it on the other side because they think this is the vertex. That's why it's important to label that the what? That's the vertex. Now, how happy are we? Well, we're happy because I'm just drawing my graph now. And that is the graph of that parabola. Right? It's not a big deal at all. Not a big deal. Now, listen. We did a lot today, all right? And mostly what I tell kids is you have to absorb the information. The only way to absorb the information is to practice a little bit, all right? But here's what I'm telling you guys. Listen to me, all right? I really would prefer if you did 1, 2, and 3 over. because I want that to be correct. Do you understand me? Because if you make a mistake, I have to go back and correct all your mistakes. So I'd rather you know something is correct. Is everybody hearing me? So the best thing to do now is to copy that file and erase or put a duplicate one in there, however you want to do it, and redo questions 1, 2, and 3. Tomorrow, we are going to discuss 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, tomorrow we will do 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. But the important part, listen to me now, I mean it. All right, I don't care if you think you know what you're doing. You got to practice. I'm not giving you a bunch. All right, and honestly, here's what I'm telling some of you. To be better thinkers and learners. If you can learn by just reviewing your notes and identifying the points on the graph, am I okay with that? Yes. If you're a better learner, means that you got to just do more problems, then you should do those 3 problems over completely. And some of you go, well, I'd like to hear what he had to say again, because I can hear and I can do and function better if I'm listening to the explanation as I do the problems. But I don't know how you're learning. Do you understand me? So I'm telling you. However, when I walk into class tomorrow and say, how do I find the vertex? You're not going to stutter. You're going to tell me exactly how to find the vertex. And when I say, does it open up or down? You're going to be able to tell me. It opens up because A is greater than 0. It's going to open down because A is less than 0. All right, those are the things you need to practice. All right, this, for those of you guys who took your SAT, this is all over the SATs. All over it. All right, this is super important. All right, so again, we're going to spend a good 2 weeks doing this. All right, and then you'll be masters of graphing lines and parabolas. Super important.
When you take the SAT before doing this.
Yeah, it is kind of, I'm not arguing with you.
So
It's kind of silly. That's why, now, again, what we're going to notice here, guys, is I like to put the problems up on the board. All right, so it says, write the percent modeled by each grid. Now, put your hands down for 1 second.
Why does it say
Yeah, it says
7 minutes?
37 minutes.
Oh,